Welcome to the program. North Korea has agreed to end its nuclear weapons program. Pyongyang says it will close the Yongbyon reactor complex and allow international inspectors onto the site in exchange for fuel oil and economic aid.
The deal, which gives North Korea 60 days to fulfill its promise, was reached at six-party talks in Beijing. Tony Cheng has more.
It was the one thing that had looked less likely as the talks went on. An agreement between 6 nations on North Korea's nuclear ambitions.
These initial steps, we're talking 60 days. So that's a pretty hurried timeline. But then after that, we would go to a next phase, and that's where we try to get their nuclear program disabled. And that's where we have to work on some specific timelines, and we'll be doing that.
And this was the good news they were looking for. A signed agreement with North Korea to begin steps to break up its nuclear programs. After 6 days of long and frustrating talks, the signing of this document was the goal that at least 5 of the participants were looking for. But the process was far from simple. As the world's media waited for what they presumed would be the last day of talks on Monday, the evening dragged on. It wasn't until 2:30 in the morning that the delegates finally emerged. A mammoth 16 hours of talks had overcome the final obstacles. The 6-party talks might actually achieve their objective this time. And the deal that's been struck will focus on this North Korean nuclear facility in Yongbyon. In return for disabling it permanently, the DPRK will get generous amounts of energy aid in the form of heavy fuel oil and electricity. In addition, more aid will be on offer when the North admits inspectors to look at other sites the international community suspects of being used for nuclear weapons development. It won't be an easy process. The last time a deal was done, it broke down. These inspectors from the International Atomic Energy Agency were kicked out by Pyongyang in 2002. And since they were last there, the North has developed nuclear weapons. But Pyongyang is also thought to need this to work. Recent articles in the North Korean press have promised the people that there'll be some relief in the next few weeks from the harsh conditions of this winter. The generous settlement will also be a welcome present for Kim Jong-il, whose birthday falls this Friday. Many people are hoping that the deal signed in here today signals the end of North Korea's nuclear programs. And for the diplomats that negotiated it, possibly a breakthrough in relations with the DPRK. But the North Koreans are very unpredictable, and in the past, deals like this have gone very bad. So while no one's under any illusions, they're grateful that at least they've got a start. Tony Cheng, Al Jazeera, Beijing.
In the last hour, the US Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice hailed the agreement as a breakthrough towards denuclearization. She also says the deal should serve as a message to Iran that international diplomacy can achieve results.
Why shouldn't it be seen as a message to Iran that the international community is able to bring together its resources, particularly when regionally affected states work together, and that the strong diplomacy and the cohesiveness of the 5 parties in the 6-party talks has finally achieved results. I think that would be the message.
2 bombs have exploded on 2 buses near the town of Bikfaya in Lebanon. There are conflicting reports over the number of dead, but at least 3 people are known to have been killed. The explosions occurred minutes apart in Ain Alak. That's in the hills to the northeast of Beirut.
Well, the bombings come at a time of acute political tension in Lebanon and a day before the 2nd anniversary of the killing of former Lebanese Prime Minister Rafik al-Hariri. We'll have the latest from the scene of the attack in a moment, but first, this report from Mike Hanna.
As so often in Lebanon, violence came when least expected. 2 bombs on 2 buses, and the target could not be more significant. The buses were on their way to Beirut from Bikfaya, the Christian village that saw one of its own, former Minister Pierre Gemayel, gunned down in the capital last November. Security sources say this was a carefully planned attack.
Military experts and the army were here during the early hours of the morning trying to pick up evidence, trying to find out clues on what exactly happened here. Preliminary police reports say that explosive charges may have been placed underneath the buses.
Now, some Lebanese are asking whether recent talk of rapprochement between government and opposition is just wishful thinking.
The scenario started like a year ago when they started to bomb commercial areas, and today they are starting to bomb civilians, because I think they are panicking when they are seeing that Lebanese are trying to be talking between them.
At this point, I can only say that we stand in solidarity with our people in the face of such incidents and call upon all Lebanese people to stand firm and not interpret this incident as one which only targets a certain section of our society. This incident targets all of us as Lebanese, regardless of our political affiliations.
The bus blasts came as many Lebanese prepared to mark Wednesday's second anniversary of the assassination of Prime Minister Rafiq al-Hariri. That killing ushered in the anti-Syrian Cedar Revolution. But the past 3 months have been marred by an intractable constitutional crisis. Ongoing protests by the opposition, Hezbollah, and their Christian allies against the government have increased tensions. Clashes have claimed a number of lives, and most recently, a number of people killed in political clashes on the campus of Beirut's Arab University. But sources on both sides of the divide had hinted at a political agreement. The fact remains, ending Lebanon's cycle of killings depends on bitter enemies giving ground. Zana Khudr, Al-Jazeera, Beirut.
Nicholas No, editor-in-chief of Mideast Wire, says Syria will be keeping a close eye on events in Lebanon.
Clearly, there are elements, for example, within the Syrian regime. Perhaps they are under the control of the Syrian President Bashar Assad. Perhaps they're rogue elements. But there are clearly divisions within the Syrian leadership themselves, some of whom want to see a unity government, like, for example, we just had in the Palestinian territories, some of whom don't want to see a unity government in Palestine, in Lebanon, in Iraq. So there are splits there, which may indeed be working itself out here in the streets, the mountains of Beirut.
An Al-Qaeda organization has told Al Jazeera it carried out a series of bomb blasts in Algeria. 6 people were killed in 7 almost simultaneous explosions at various police stations east of the capital, Algiers. In a phone call to Al Jazeera's office in Morocco, a group called the Al-Qaeda organization in the Islamic Maghreb claimed responsibility. The group was previously known as the Salafist Group for Preaching and Combat, a group banned for leading an insurgency in Algeria.
Iraq's government has said it has closed its borders with Syria and Iran as part of its new security crackdown. A nighttime curfew has also been extended. It comes a day after multiple bomb blasts killed more than 100 people in central Baghdad. Well, for more on this, we can cross to our correspondent in Baghdad, Huda Abdelhamid. Huda, the borders sealed. We've got this nighttime curfew in effect. Give us the latest on what seems to be a really big step.
Yeah, it is a big step. We just heard from General Aboud Kambar, who was on Iraqi TV, and he said that the borders with Syria would be shut for 72 hours, starting about an hour ago, and the borders with Iran will remain closed until further notice. He did say that one border crossing will be partially opened within a week, but all the rest of the borders will be shut until further notice. He also said that Baghdad is now divided into 10 sections, not 9 as they previously was. He also said that the curfew for people is now from 8 in the evening to 6 in the morning. It would previously start at 11 p.m. He also said that all weapon permits have been suspended. Any civilian carrying a weapon will be arrested, and any weapon found will be confiscated. He went on also saying that security forces were given the green card to search any individual or house they suspect. He also said that security forces are allowed to enter into government buildings and private companies and to conduct searches in there. Now, on the very sensitive issue of mosques, he said that security forces were not allowed to enter any mosque, whether it's a Shia or Sunni mosque, except with the permission of their local commander, and only in case they suspect that individuals or weapons are hiding in those mosques.
This seems to be very thorough. Does this give us an indication to the extent to which Aboud Kambar, at the head of the US and Iraqi forces, is prepared to go to stop the recent violence?
It is certainly an indication that the government is very serious about the security plan. Everybody here is aware that if this one doesn't work, it will be very difficult to bring any stability to Baghdad. I mean, earlier Prime Minister al-Maliki was speaking to some students in Babel. He told them that the security plan would start either tomorrow or after tomorrow, and he told them that he was very serious about implementing it.